All right, hello everyone. Welcome to Social Media Week Day 2. Yeah. Thank you guys for joining us today. For those of you that don't know me, I'm new around here. I just started working at UT a little over 3 weeks ago. So I am the digital and field marketing specialist for the School of Information Sciences. So I'll be around the halls and all that. If you have any questions about digital marketing or any follow-ups, about anything today, feel free to track me down. So we got some exciting stuff for you today. So we are going to be talking about Facebook ads. At about noon today, we'll have a career panel. We're discussing careers in social media. And then later on today, WNML is going to be doing a live broadcast at about 3 o'clock out of one of our rooms back there. So before I hand it off to Gavin, I just wanted to say that this is a very valuable opportunity. So I've been in digital advertising as well as Facebook advertising for about 8 years now. So Facebook ads currently own about 20% of digital ad spend in America. In my previous position, I actually worked in the automotive sector, and I deal firsthand with about $500,000 in digital advertising spend a month with various auto dealerships. And over the last couple of years, I've seen a large portion of that actually shift over to Facebook. Not only through boosting posts, but also audience prospecting and things along those lines. So we're seeing a huge shift between Facebook and Google. They own about 60% of digital ad spend in America. So when I was in college, I really wished I had an opportunity to talk about emerging trends like this, and Gavin's going to be discussing that further, but I really encourage you to ask questions during the presentation. We're going to have about 30 minutes after Gavin's done presenting just as a Q&A, so I really encourage you. This is something that you're going to be taking into your future careers. Take this opportunity to learn as much as you can. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Gavin. He's the principal and owner of Baker Labs. He's worked in digital advertising through several verticals. Now he's specializing in healthcare. He teaches here at the University of Tennessee in digital marketing. So with that, I'll hand it over to Gavin.
So marketers have a big problem. And that big problem is the fact that the people we want to reach are often relatively unreachable. And so as a marketer, as a communicator, your job is to drive people towards the actions you want them to take. You want them to buy the thing that you're selling. You want them to sign up for the class or for the seminar or for the whatever. But over the last 20 years, there's been some major shifts in how we communicate as consumers and how we expect to be communicated with. And so as brands and as marketers, that puts us in an awkward position. Because we can't just buy one big advertising buy on one radio station and it work. And so Facebook ads can be the superpower that helps us overcome that. And the shift has happened for lots of reasons. You guys are part of the shift, right? You're on the technologies we're going to talk about. And you actually hear marketers. There's a great marketer here in town. His name's Mark Schaefer. If you haven't heard from Mark, Mark is probably a top 50 marketer in the world, and he lives about 10 miles from here. And he has incredible experiences. And he writes a blog called Grow, and he talks about when he was in his marketing career 20 years ago when he was getting started, it was a lot easier. Because he just kind of had to choose a couple magazines and a couple TV. His selection was very small. Whereas today, the selection of any marketer's decision is enormous. And no budget can satisfy every channel. And so that's where Facebook can come in as a superpower. Because it can make you, as a marketer, look really smart, and can make you actually drive the interactions you want to have happen. And so that's what we're going to talk about, is how Facebook marketing, Facebook ads specifically, really allow you to do that. And so most marketers feel like this when it comes to advertising, right? They're sitting in front of their computer and they're like, nothing is working, right? Why is my ad not working? Why are the people not taking the actions I want them to take? And if you've done any advertising of your own, you may have felt this way at times. You probably feel more like this when you're writing a paper about something, right? And you're like, gosh, I can't figure this out. Maybe you feel like this. I feel like this sometimes. Why are people doing this? Why is this happening? But maybe even this, right? Oh man, I hope this thing goes through in time, right? And what we want to do is not feel that way. We want to have repeatable methods that allow us to interact with the people we want. And so marketing needs to put their message in front of the right people. And the problem is that can be really, really hard to do. It can be really, really hard to do. And the thing for that is that we, as users, need to adapt. So we're not even, this isn't talking about ad blockers and the things that consumers use to evade advertising. We're just talking about everybody's scattered, right? All of you in here probably have some overlap of different profiles you use online, but you're not all the same. And you're all students. But beyond that, there's sections and segments that we could dive into, to the clothes you wear, to the products you use, to the car you drive, to where you're from. And all of those things, if we use them right, can allow us to deliver a message to you that resonates. But if you use them wrong, it doesn't resonate at all. And the message falls flat, the ad doesn't convert, the action doesn't happen, and now you have a failed campaign. And so that's the problem. How do we fix that problem? And so there's lots of options for marketing, right? You guys have covered these in class. You maybe engage in them in your own, in work. You've got TV, you've got radio, you've got billboards, you have flyers, you've got public relations. You have influencer marketing, which is very popular right now. You have product placement, you have podcast sponsorship, you've got events, you've got Google Ads. And to be completely candid, this is just a partial list, right? There are trade shows, there's trade publication. I mean, it goes on and on and on. There's so many things you can do as a marketer, as a communicator to move people forward. But the hard part about all of these, the thing that all of these kind of fail at, is it's really hard to target them, specifically to individual people and that message. Because at some point you have to say, if you're going to do TV, and it's getting there, digital TV is coming, and that will be a game changer, but it's not there completely yet. But if you're going to watch a TV ad, or a TV show, they're going to run an ad based on, for the most part, the type of person that watches that show. Which means if you watch a show and you don't fit their demographic, you get ads that don't make sense to you. You think, why is this ad does not resonate with me at all? That's because it resonates with the most of the people who watch the show. But there's a future coming when those ads will be about you, because they'll actually know you watch the show. And the same with any of these things. We were talking about billboards a little bit earlier. Billboards are really interesting because people spend lots of money on billboards. But if you drive up and down 40, right, probably the majority of those billboards don't apply to any of you. But there's these billboards. I mean, 1 mile stretch of 40, there might be $100,000 a month of spend happening. That's hopefully creating new customers for people. And so it's just an ineffective use of a dollar. It's a great brand awareness, right? I now know about these brands as I drive past them, but they may not actually matter to me. And I'm using examples just so we don't, throw anybody on the bus, but there's lots of things that they just don't apply. And so you can do this with all of this, but again, we want to be targeting the people we want to move forward in a certain way. And so all of these, unfortunately, have some level of guessing to them. They have some level of overview to them that is just general. And when the message is general, it doesn't resonate. When it's not clear, it doesn't convert. And so what we want to do is put the right message in front of the right person. And so the solution is segmenting and targeting your advertising dollars. And when you do that, it goes further. There's a couple seats in the front, you guys can come in. They work better together because they're targeted to the right people. And so when you segment, you're actually saying, okay, this small group of people is who I want to go after. And for this reason. And so the weird thing that happens sometimes, sometimes hard for people to get their brain around. To get a little bit of people to say yes, you have to say no to a lot of people. So if you have a really big general message, it's going to broadly apply to everybody. But if you have a very specific message, it's going to apply really specifically to them. And you actually probably get more action out of this smaller group because the message actually makes sense to them, right? And so, to use an example, I don't know your name, we don't even know your name. He's wearing Chacos, right? If he sees an ad with Chacos in them, he's probably more likely to interact with that content, to move forward, because he's a brand advocate of Chacos. He's wearing them right now. Whereas if he had a pair of Tevas on, maybe he'd be more interested in Tevas. or Keen's or whatever shoe it is, right? He's already made a choice because he's a brand, right? I'm wearing a shoe called Allbirds, right? I like Allbirds. If I see Allbirds in an ad or something similar, I'm probably going to resonate with that versus a pair of Oxfords, right? And so again, we're just talking about that targeting, that segmentation allows those messages to actually resonate a lot further than you might expect. And so, and the crazy part about Facebook ads or even digital is that segmentation doesn't always cost a lot more money. Traditionally, the more niche you got in your advertising, the more it costs. That is not necessarily true with Facebook ads or Google ads. And so Facebook knows a lot about you and me, a scary bit about a lot of you and me. And if you don't know this, this might freak you out here in just the next second. So this is, if you Google, what does Facebook know about me? You get tons of hits. There are 45 million results. What does Facebook know about me? So lots of people care about what Facebook knows about them. Even the Next Web says it tracks scary specific details. And so I'm going to show you a chart. This is from the Next Web article. These are all the things that Facebook knows about the person who wrote this article. That they are 13 to 18 years, parents of teenagers. They have a birthday in June. They are a liberal from a political view. They use iOS devices, so Apple devices. They primarily use Chrome. They travel a lot. They have a 4G connection on their phone. They're millennial. They use Sierra on their Mac. They're a smartphone owner. They have Facebook page admin rights. They have close friends who are expats. They're likely to engage in politics, right? Facebook knows all of these things and more about all of you, all of us, really, if you use Facebook. And you don't just have to use Facebook, you have to use something in their network, which we'll talk about that in a second. And so the beautiful thing as a marketer, as a consumer, this might freak you out. You might say, whoa, that's a lot that they know about me. And they actually know even more than that because of your engagement. But this is the general buckets. But as a marketer, you should look at this and think, wow, what options we have, right? Because now all of a sudden, we can say, so I'll use a reverse example. I use LinkedIn. When I log into LinkedIn, for the last 2 months, I've gotten 2 recommendations, influencers you might want to follow. The first one has been Bill Gates, and the second one has been the current CEO of Microsoft. Okay, so that's really bad targeting. I don't have a single Microsoft product. I don't dislike Microsoft, but I'm not really in the ecosystem of Microsoft. So while I can respect Bill Gates for creating a massive empire, he's not really an influencer in my world, right? Something that was more Apple related, if they were using technology to target that, would be a far better choice. And so LinkedIn maybe doesn't have quite the knowledge base in terms of how I'm being used. And so because of that, that message doesn't resonate quite as well. And so when you see this, you should be thinking, oh my gosh, we can do all of these things to run an ad. And so even if you didn't pick every of these categories, you just picked a couple of them, all of a sudden you're putting an ad in front of somebody that resonates with them. And so most of us don't dislike advertising. Most of us don't even dislike messages that don't resonate with us. Like, I'm sorry, excuse me, I'll say it again. Most of us don't dislike advertising. And most of us don't even dislike email messages that come into our inbox unasked for, right? We only call it spam. We only call it bad advertising if it doesn't actually help us, right? So if you're not looking for a coupon for a pizza, an email in your inbox for a coupon with a pizza is spam. But if you're looking for a pizza and you want a coupon to eat it, it's not spam. It's now a coupon that you find really valuable. It's the exact same piece of information. Right message, right time, right person. It changes how you react to it. And so what we're able to do with messaging, or excuse me, with advertising, is actually influence how we feel about those things. So if you're not aware, this is the Facebook ecosystem. This is the major channels they own. This is Facebook groups, WhatsApp, Facebook, of course, Messenger, Instagram, and this is an old chart, so it's missing a lot of things. But you need to understand that Facebook basically owns every way most people can communicate. And they track every single message. So when you message your friend privately about anything, it's private between you, your friend, and Facebook. Okay? So they track that, which is why you may see an ad sometime in Facebook or on Instagram or in any other platform that you think, I don't think I told anybody about that, but you messaged about it. And because you did, Facebook knows that. And so, and it creates freak out moments, right? And they've come out very publicly and said, listen, we don't use your device, we're not actively tracking your voice or anything like that. But it can create these moments where you're like, that's pretty crazy. I just mentioned that in the hallway and now there's an ad showing up. That's really weird. You see enough of it and you freak out a little bit. But just understand, Facebook owns so much of this. And as it comes to you guys and the generations after you, they're just gonna keep buying the next network that's important, right? So, because they need the communication, right? They understand, hey, people are using Facebook less and less, but they're using Instagram more. They're using every other network. And so they can just go out and buy it because they have a lot of money. And they can just go buy it, and they will. And so the good news is, again, as marketers, great news. We can keep generationally messaging. We can keep buying ads. We have all of these things, and not even beyond that, goes into the audience network, which are third-party publishers of content. And so we have lots of opportunity when it comes to Facebook ads. But just know that anything you do that's on a Facebook-owned platform is being tracked. It's being shared. It may be being shared anonymously, but it's being shared. Facebook also then buys data from all the third-party producers of third-party data. And so you can go in and say, I only want to advertise to people who have an income of over $100,000. They bought that data, and they're trying to correlate it to me, to you, to whoever. But again, as a marketer, that's a really valuable thing. Again, as a personal choice, it may start to freak you out. But again, we can use that positively and negatively. And so what does Facebook allow you to do? That's what we're going to talk about, and I'm going to show you some examples. Facebook allows you to target based on interest. So you can define your ideal interest, your ideal audience by their interests, hobbies, and pages they like on Facebook, right? So interests can be anything, right? It can be chacos, it can be Jeeps, I like Jeeps. It can be hiking, it can be anything you can put into Facebook or post about on Facebook can become a targetable interest. And so as you think about your message and your audience, you can start to get kind of creative. You can think, okay, great. What are the common characteristics of people who do these things that we would want to reach? And so maybe if we carry down the Chaco example, maybe we say, okay, great, we want to reach people who wear chacos or like chacos because they like hiking. If they like hiking, or they like to look like they like to hike, which might be true. I have a pair of chacos. I don't hike very often, but I do like chacos. They have these other attributes that we want to follow because we want to sell them a really nice water bottle. And that really nice water bottle costs $14 or $25. And so you can track all those things through. And so you can target people who like chacos to sell them a water bottle because you think they might like it, right? And so all those things are options. You cannot do that in TV. You cannot do that on a billboard. I mean, you could put a billboard up with a person wearing a chaco and a water bottle, but you can't. You only get the people who drive by it. And so that's where the power of it comes in, is because you can really start to target it. Here's the other thing about the superpower that's Facebook has. You can stop it and start it, and you get real-time instant data. You can run it for 2 days. And after 2 days, if you're not getting results, you can stop it, change your campaign. You cannot do that with most traditional media, right? A magazine ad, you gotta put that thing into production months in advance. And what if your product changes by the time the ad goes live? Then it does not matter. You don't have a choice. It's already printed. It runs. So you get into these decisions that you're kind of stuck with. Whereas with an ad, you can start it and stop it essentially instantly. And if the results aren't working, you can stop it. So there's a lot of value in that. Behaviors. So you can actually begin to look at behaviors people do, what you and I do, on Facebook and off Facebook to inform which device they're using. We saw that before. Purchase behaviors intents, if they travel or not, right? All of these things can be used to create a segmented audience. And so again, your normal segmentation data is going to be things like just demographics, male, female, age, income, right? We're going so many sectors beyond that. We can start with that. You should start there. But now we can say we only want to feature this ad to women who are 25 to 35 who live within 2 miles of our shop who already own chacos. And all of a sudden, your audience goes from here to here. But it's the right audience. It's the people you want to come into your shop. And now your ad can be personalized to those people. Because it doesn't have to say, do you like outdoor footwear? Do you like, generic, vague comments about things. So you can say, hey, do you love your chocolates? There's a new pair coming out. Come get them tomorrow. Come see them. The chocolate truck is going to be here, and they're going to be throwing out free chocolates, whatever, right? You can do all of that because you know who they are, and you know their preferences. And beyond that, you can go into even advanced targeting. This is really where the real power comes in. So you can actually take and create what's called a lookalike audience based on your own data. You can take all your customers, put them back into Facebook. Facebook does that anonymously, and it goes and finds characteristics about the people you uploaded in the whole database. So you can say, hey, these are all my customers. Here's what they look like. And Facebook will go find the patterns that you could never find because you don't have the information. They know all the other stuff. They know if they're politically liberal or not. They know if they like to travel or not. They know if they have friends who are expats or not, and what pages they like. There's no way you can know that about all these people. But they're going to find that pattern. They're going to use data to interpret it, and then they're going to say, we're going to find a pool of people just like the ones you uploaded. And you're going to put your ad in front of it. And guess what? That ad, if you upload the right people, if you upload people who already buy your product, there are going to be more people who buy your product. Now, if you upload the wrong list of people who've never bought your product, then it's probably not going to work any better. But if you start with a good database of people, you can do that. And here's the thing about Facebook. Are these tools available to marketers at enormously large companies? Yes. Yeah. There's all kinds of tools available to you if you work at a Fortune 500 or Fortune 100 company. But the majority of people don't work at those SaaS companies. The majority of those people don't work at places where they can call up a list broker like Axiom and say, hey, I need a list of 1 million people in this segmentation, and I'm willing to pay $3 each. Most people don't have that kind of budget just to create a list. You can do all of this on Facebook for free. You can find out how many people even fit your demographic, fit your audience for free. You can put all this stuff in. And I'll tell you, there are 3,000 people within 1 mile of your business that do that. You can say, great, is that worthwhile running against? The answer is probably yes, but you wouldn't ever even have a chance to do that before. And so you can do all of that. And it's actually a really neat exercise. If you just go into Ad Manager and you can just play and just say, okay, great, what's happening here? If I change this one criteria, what happens? If I'm looking at a certain age demographic, what if I change the income level, what happens? And what if I change the interest, what happens? What if I say dog versus cat? You can do all kinds of powerful things. And the amazing part about it as a marketer is the cost of failure is incredibly low. It's not like picking the wrong magazine and 4 months from now hoping it works. It's picking a different criteria, running it for a day and saying, okay, that didn't work as well as I thought. Conversion rate didn't go up and went down. Or it stayed the same. And so you can do all kinds of things. You can also do a lookalike audience just based on your website visitors. You put what's called a pixel on your website. If your website has enough traffic, it just starts to capture the people. And then it goes back and finds out who they are on Facebook and says, okay, great, these are the people who are coming to your website. Let's find more of those people. And again, these are all tools that didn't exist 15 years ago to all of us. And that's why it's a superpower, because you can actually do all of this. And it doesn't matter if you're running the tiniest retail shop that sells baskets to the largest basket producer in the world, which I'm going to assume is like Longaberger or something like that. You have the power, all of you do. And so the great news is that when you go into your next job or your first job, is that you can really look like a superstar. Because most people don't know this stuff exists. They know they can go onto Facebook and press boost. That's about what they're going to know. And so you can come in and say, hey, here's how we can do all these things. We can drive a lot of people. I remember one of the first clients had this light bulb moment, and we were driving, he was a developer, so we were driving people to open houses. And he said, you mean you drove 400 people to an open house this weekend at $1 each? And I said, yeah. And he said, that's amazing. We got to do more of that. Because to him, he's selling a $400,000 house. If he can get them there for $1, that's a pretty good ROI. Now, there's a lot that goes in between them showing up at an open house and buying a house. But who knows what he's spending? He might have been spending $1,000 to get them to open houses. So he's seeing a lot better return for that. And we can target it. Yeah, so we can say we only want it in this place. We only want it in this zip code. We only want it from these people. We only want it for people. We actually did some advertising with Facebook for some clients that were selling vacation property in the Smokies. And they wanted to target UT students, UT alum, who don't live locally, but probably wanted to come back, right? They graduated from the engineering college, they have enough money, they've been working for 20 years. Great, let's find those people who, and we can do that because we can go on by targeting and say, if they've got their school listed, where did they go to school? How old are they? Boom. We now know, we can create a little alumni list of where they went to school, where they live now. We only want to target people who graduated from UT in 1965 to 1970 who live in Chicago. We can do that. And we don't have to go through UT's office to do it, we can do it on our own. And so you have options like that about lots of things. And that's the power of Facebook ads. And so why does it work? So targeted ads allow people to receive messages that speak to them, not to everyone. So all of us do a lot better when a message is about us, right? So let's just, for example, if I knew some of your names, which I don't, but if I did, and I said your name right now, you would listen, right? So because it's your name. We're taught, we instinctively know our name is important. And so when an ad essentially has the equivalent of your name in it, you're more likely to take an action on it because it fits you. It's not just general. And one of the things that research shows and studies show is that clarity in messaging equals action. And so particularly we've got the right message, right time, and right place increases the conversion. It means just they do what you want them to do. And so you cannot always control right time. You can't even control right place. But with Facebook, you can definitely control the right person and the right message. And so you're increasing your opportunity. And I have bought at least 5 different products that have been targeted by Facebook ads that I didn't even know I needed. But I got an ad, I was like, I need, and I don't mean just like, I need that shiny new water bottle, or I need these Allbirds. I mean like, I bought software. I've spent thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on software that's been targeted to me that I did not know existed. But based on their algorithms, based on all these things, Facebook recognized, you know what, Gavin needs this stuff. Or we think he really needs it, and it's been accurate. And so that's the power of it. And that's not, to me, that's not advertising. That's actually helpfulness, right? I'm better at my job because of these ads. And so that's the power of a Facebook ad is you want someone to read an ad and be like, this actually really helps me. Not just I think it's funny, not I think it's clever. Those are valuable things. Like that's Super Bowl commercial, right? Super Bowl commercial, clever. But that has a place for sure. But how many people buy off of Super Bowl commercials, right? That's not even $1 million question. That's a couple $1 billion question. And the truth is nobody knows, right? Do I think those commercials are great? Yes. They're creative, they're awesome. But we're talking about people taking action, and they may not take action after that. So let's talk through a couple things. So has anyone here ever broken a bone? A couple of you? Okay. So we're going to talk about an orthopedic clinic. So an orthopedic clinic are the doctors who fix broken bones, for the most part. They're kind of the, sorry, so this is a broken bone example. So I'm going to read this to you. I realize that's hard to read. Basically, if you're an orthopedic clinic, let's just imagine you're an orthopedic clinic in Naperville, Illinois. You're in Chicago, you're opening a new clinic outside of Illinois, suburbs or Naperville. And you know that a good percentage of your current patients are men aged 45 to 60 who have knee problems. Their knee problems prevent them from playing golf as frequently as they would like to because they experience of the pain they experience as they swing the driver as they walk the course, right? Now, this is certainly a first world problem to have, but it's still a problem, right? And orthopedic surgeons fix a lot of knees, okay? And so just think, this is about people who have men who golf who have knee problems. So you can build an audience to put ads on Facebook that target the demographic, 45 to 60-year-old men. And that's fine. And it's probably well and good. Does your knee hurt? We can help you. But imagine you knew really the majority of people who came in really had trouble with golf. That's what they really wanted to do. The pain they're trying to their unmet need is they can't play golf anymore. It's not that they can't walk. It's that they really just want to golf more. And so you can actually specify in that criteria to make it more direct and compelling. Because if we target them based on the fact that they're golfers, which we can do with Facebook. We're not just targeting men now who live here, we're targeting men in this age group who golf. We can say ready to play a full 18 holes without pain, rather than a vague fix your knee pain today. And so what's gonna happen is we can also include in that creative, we can include a golf picture, not just a person holding their knee, right? Again, we get more specific. We exclude people. We don't wanna fix everybody's knee pain. We just wanna fix golfers' knee pain. But then we can drive them to a landing page that's about golfing. We can say, you know, a quote, I never thought I'd get to play, you know, whatever great golf course in Naperville again, but I never thought I'd really get to fly to England or Scotland and play the course of my dreams, but I was able to because Dr. So-and-so fixed my knee. And again, our whole campaign can be driven at golfers. And so again, we just get more creative. And we don't have to go to Golf's Digest to run an ad, because that wouldn't work. No matter how big your orthopedic clinic is, you probably really using an ad in Golf Digest is not the right form of advertising. Now if you're Titleist or Callaway or any of the brands, that makes sense. If you're just a clinic, probably not. And so we can target them by all these things. And so we can add the audience and narrow it by saying we golf-related brands, Titleist, TaylorMade, Callaway. All of these things enable us to really create a lot more tech segmented audience. And so this is what the audience would look like in Facebook. So this is an actual, so with the 25 miles in Naperville, Illinois, 45 to 60 men who had these interests, Callaway Golf, TaylorMade, which I guess is owned by Adidas, Titleist, golf, we're gonna reach somewhere between 430 to 2,000 people a day. Now, to any orthopedic clinic, if you could get a percentage of 430 people in your place that are golfers, that's a win. And this campaign would not cost, it wouldn't cost what a billboard campaign costs. And it'd be targeted. Now, is it as fun or as interesting as having a billboard on the big highway with your company name on it? No. But you probably get to count more money when it comes through. You get to actually have more patients when it comes through. And so that's the power of a Facebook ad. You can actually get this small group of people to react, and you can create tons of little micro categories. So you don't just have to go after, you can still go after knee pain people, but you can go after hip, you can go after all of these things, not just general big pieces. And so that's the power of Facebook ad. Because you can be so specific, you can actually create a message that resonates. And then you can actually find if it doesn't. So a couple of examples. So these are other ads that have been in my newsfeed. And so this is Sticker Mule. Sticker Mule makes stickers. And they think I need custom logo stickers, right? And I get ads about them. But here's the crazy thing. If you've ever have you ever wondered why you get an ad on Facebook? Anybody get an ad who's like, why do I, okay. Well, if you ever wonder, if you click, it's not on this picture, but imagine the top right off the top of the screen, there's 3 dots. If you click that, it will actually tell you why you were targeted by the ad. So this is what this looks like. You're seeing this ad because Sticker Mule wants to reach people interested in marketing based on pages such as liking pages or clicking on ads. The other reason you're seeing this ad, they also want to reach people 22 to 40, which I fall in that very large bucket, who live or are recently in the United States. This is based on your Facebook profile and how you connected to the internet. So Facebook will tell you how you get targeted. You can also opt out because I never want to see ads like this. If you click the same button, it'll also give you the option to create an ad like this one. So the way Facebook's making money is selling our information. So they want to make you sell ads. Here's another one, fund rides, excuse me. Invest like a millionaire with only $500, okay? And this is accurate, I'm not a millionaire, but I do have $500. But, and again, this is why I'm seeing it. They want to reach people who may be similar to their customers. There may be other reasons except the fact that I'm 22 to 54. So this is not a super targeted ad unless there's other information they're not showing. 22 to 54 is really broad. That's like the equivalent of a billboard, right? And so, but again, you can find these things out just by looking. And so the point is that you can use this superpower to do amazing things for companies, for nonprofits, for interests, for whatever you want. So I'm going to walk through really quickly, and then we'll do some questions. So basically, when you come to Facebook, you come to a Facebook ad. You go to Ad Manager, and you get all these options. And Facebook says, "What's your campaign objective? What do you want to do?" And you pick one. I would normally pick probably traffic, maybe lead generation, messages if you're trying to get some kind of Facebook messages happening. And then you go and you build your custom audience, which is what we just talked about. And what will happen is you get all these pieces, and on this side, it'll tell you what your reach is. And this number will go down as you add more people. And so you can say, I want to use this location, I want to use demographic, I want to, and targeting, you can go into any kinds of things. You can go into people who are in relationships. You can say people who are recently engaged, people who recently had a baby, all these people who recently moved, right? All these life events that mean there's going to be some kind of action taken. And so just think, as a marketer, if you start thinking about that, you think, okay, great. People who recently moved, well, people who recently moved need lots of new things. They don't know anything about where they are. So they're going to get ads about all kinds of stuff. They're not going to get ads about moving companies, but they might get ads about local attractions. They might get ads about things you should know in the area. They might get all kinds of pieces because people are trying to attract them. And so there's tons of options that exist inside of Facebook ads. And the reason they're a superpower is because you can do so much with them for so little. And they truly are amazing. So what I'll do with that, and we'll finish here, is by being great at targeting, you make it easy for people to engage with you. And when it's easy for them to engage with you, because it resonates, they take the action you want. And then everybody wins, right? They get a product that they feel good about, and you do a good job in your marketing, and your boss says, hey, great job. Here's your promotion, or whatever the next step is. So let's do some questions, and then we can wrap up after that. Who's got a question? Yeah.
Is there a way to like measure the success of a Facebook ad? Because I know you just started talking about like Super Bowl ads. You can't
Right.
measure like if somebody went out and bought a product because of Super Bowl ads.
Yeah.
But if there's an ad on Facebook and I click to it and it brings me like a specific pair of shoes,
Right.
can you track how successful that Facebook ad was to generate profit?
Yes, you can. So it depends on how sophisticated you are on your end, but you
Okay.
can. So if you're an e-commerce store, definitely, right? Because you can track the whole click to conversion all the way to checkout. If you're selling something else, you're going to have to use a proxy for that or feed data back in. But yeah, you can definitely do that. So one of the options here is lead generation. And so lead generation ads are the ones on Facebook where you click, you say like learn more, and it just pops up a form.
Yeah.
It says like first name, last name, you know, and that right there, that's going to trigger like, okay, this isn't someone who clicked it. They actually now captured the information. And so now you're going to be able to say, this ad cost us $300, but it generated 300 new people, or that'd be amazing, 30 new people.
Yeah.
And so it cost us $10 each. Now, from there, you have to figure out how many of those actually became customers. At scale, it gets more complicated,
Yeah.
but you can definitely do it that way. And there's ways, depending, like I said, depending on how technical you can get, there's ways to track pixels and checkouts and all kinds of things. And really, the hard part about online advertising is sometimes, like we've had clients that don't want to track it all the way through. They've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to not actually know the end result, which is really unfortunate, because it makes it really hard during your job, because you're like, hey, these things are working, but we don't actually know, because just because an ad gets clicked a lot doesn't mean it actually converts a lot,
Yeah.
right? So that's one method of conversion. What we actually want to go through is all the way to the end. We want someone to actually buy the thing. And so you might find an ad that works really, really well to get clicks, doesn't actually create new customers. But you would be led to thinking that the ad that gets the most clicks is actually the best ad, because you don't actually know the end result compared to another ad. So, did that answer your question? Yeah, great.
And to further speak on that too, because I've had some experience with these attribution models. So there's two major ways of thinking in terms of attribution with a conversion. You have last click attribution, so that's literally that last touch point before somebody purchases a product or basically, does what you want them to do. And then there's linear attribution models too, to where you can see what advertising touch points hit this person before they actually converted. So there are different ways of gauging success, whether you want to gauge that last click, getting credit for everything, or the fact that they interacted with this ad, this ad, this ad, and that led to the overall conversion. So there's a lot of cool stuff that you can do with this too in terms of gauging each of those individual touch points and what's actually leading to that final conversion.
Yeah.
I've heard that there's been some changes with Facebook
Mhm.
as far as their privacy and how much you can reach people. Could you speak to that? What exactly has changed?
Sure. Are you talking about the algorithm change, or you're not sure?
I'm not sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
so Facebook recently announced an algorithm change that basically is, so Facebook understands, so take a step back. There's a phrase in the software tech industry, which is, if you do not pay for the product, you are the product, okay? So from my perspective, all of you who use Facebook, you pay for using Facebook by just using it. And then I run ads against it, okay? So because we don't pay $10 a month for Facebook, we pay them hundreds of dollars a month with all our information. And so one of the things that happens is for Facebook to lose, all they have to do is lose attention, right? If you stop going to Facebook and checking in, if you stop going to Facebook to see what your friends are doing, they lose audience share. Think of it like a TV, like a local TV station. If people stop watching their shows, they can't sell advertising anymore, or as much, or for as much, because they don't have the audience. Same thing. And so one of the things that Facebook has recognized is that because they've really pushed advertising in the last couple of years to get more money, they've also realized that our engagement levels are dropping because it's getting more and more brand centric versus how it started. And so they've made a shift in the algorithm that basically has said, hey, we're going to move to the effect of trying to highlight friends and relationships over business relationships. So kind of person to person versus person to business. And so what that's going to happen is pages, which are the primary way businesses can create engagement on Facebook, are getting less and less share in your newsfeed. And so that's the biggest change that's happened. One of the things that is happening across the board is just general protection of data. Right now it's a little bit the Wild West. And so marketers love it because you can do all kinds of crazy stuff with it. Consumers can have, there are points where it can become problematic. You can use it maliciously, or you can use it, not even maliciously, you can just use it with unintended consequences. And so there's questions about how do we, from a political standpoint, from a even a legal standpoint, how does that get protected? Like we have rights as consumers. How does that rights get protected so that should they know every message that we send on Facebook Messenger, should that be able to be used kind of in a messaging stream by a consumer or by a business? And so that's all still being worked out. There's really neat things that happen when it doesn't, but there are also kind of risks to us as users of that too. And so, and if you follow Europe's model, Europe is way more tied down about all that stuff than we are. And so it'll be interesting to see what happens with it. But right now, it's kind of open. So, but I think the more and more people stand up and say, hey, I don't want to be tracked this way, I don't want my information used, the more that those things will change. So, and if you're uncomfortable with the way it is, you can't opt out of some of it. You should definitely kind of just, probably the easiest way is just Google, like, how do I opt out of, change my Facebook settings? And it'll show you some of that. You'd actually really probably be smart to just make sure you are being tracked in the way you want to be, your information being shared. Because all our lives are different, and there may be reasons you wouldn't want stuff can be completely open. So. Yep.
This is just like a general question, but can Facebook just track like the stuff you do through their stuff that they own, like Instagram and all that, or can they go through like Google, Twitter,
Yeah.
Pinterest, and all of that?
That's a good question. So they don't, as far as I know, they don't go through those things, but they do buy data from lots of third-party sources because they want the most full spectrum picture of all of us as possible. And so I'm sure there's data that goes into that database that comes from other places, but Twitter's is going to have their own, and so so they're going to stay mostly inside their own, but they are going to buy it from other places. And I'm sure anything's possible in the world of technology, so it's probably possible you could create some kind of third-party audiences as well with that if at scale. So like one of the local companies that does a ton of advertising is Clayton Homes. So they do a lot of really smart advertising, and they do a lot of this stuff where they look at, they don't look at credit scores exactly, but they look at how can we know about the person who we're trying to target, and then how we take them all the way through, because they need to know all that information, because they spend a lot on it, and so they do some really neat things too. So that'd be a quick question if you ever speak from them to ask what they do on that. Any other questions? So I'll close with this. This is my information. I'm happy to be a resource to you guys. This is not a typo. It is just .co. So if you need to email me, feel free. But just understand that you guys are in a really golden opportunity to use this superpower to your advantage. And so understand most marketers still think not the way we just talked about today. They think a little bit old school. So you have an opportunity to think new and to say, hey, what about Facebook ads? How can we use this to our advantage? And if you solve that, you certainly will be a superstar. So, thank you.
thanks guys. So we will be having a social media career panel at noon. If you RSVP for that, we will see you there. But if not, have a great day.